are tons of exotics in Destiny 2, over 100, and even more ways to build each and every one. But some exotics are better than others. Or are they?
Let's make a build with every single one at a time. This is Destiny Builds A to Z. Our exotic of choice is going to be Antaeus Wards, which states with reflective vents. While sliding with full class ability energy, you gain a frontal shield that reflects incoming damage. After reflecting damage, your class ability energy is depleted based on the amount of damage reflected. This is primarily used as a PvP exotic, and it's a little bit more focused towards that, particularly with how they've balanced it. However, today we're going to be making a PvE build with it, and it's going to be kind of fun, and we'll be sliding a whole lot. So for slide lovers out there, this is a really fun build to use for maybe some lower end content if you're just running through strikes and have a little bit of fun with lost sectors and such. For our subclass, we're going with Behemoth, mainly to be able to synergize with one of our aspects, Cryoclasm, because I really felt like with a slide-based exotic, you needed to have the longest slide possible, which is what Cryoclasm enables. But we'll get into it in just a second. With our abilities, we're going with Rally Barricade. This is going to make it so that we have a shorter base cooldown, so that way our class ability is just always up to be able to enable our Antaeus Wards. For our jump, this is really up to you. I prefer Strafe Lift. Melee, we only have one option, Shiver Strike, which you can use if you would like to. It's not really based around anything in this build, however it is a nice option for mobility and just kind of a getting out of jail free card with how far and fast it takes you. Grenade, we're going with Glacier Grenade. Again, to synergize with Cryoclasm, because this is going to allow us to slide through the grenade and explode all the crystals all at once in kind of a satisfying way. Aspects wise, we're going with Tectonic Harvest here. Shattering a stasis crystal or frozen target creates a stasis shard. This shard grants melee energy when picked up by you or your allies, while Tectonic Harvest is equipped. Picking up stasis shards grants frost armor. So this is going to be our main defensive aspect here, so we can have frost armor and just protect ourselves a little bit. I'll have the damage resistance up on screen now, but it's going to make it so that we can actually live in most content. Cryoclasm, as I stated before, is going to increase our slide distance greatly. It's also going to enable it so that stasis crystals, when we slide into them, will shatter. You can also do this to frozen targets. It's a little unnecessary with the way that freezing works now in the game from when this came out, but if you choose to do so, it is an option. For our fragments, we have Whisper of Torment. This is going to make it so that every time we take any damage at all, we'll be getting grenade energy. This will just make it so that we constantly have our grenade back up. It's going to feel very, very quick. Our next is Whisper of Chains. Defeating a target while you have frost armor has a chance to create a stasis shard. This is going to make it so that while we have our frost armor up, we're just creating more shards and just keeping that loop going, so we always have our defensive up. Whisper of Fissures. Increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. This is going to make it so that when we do slide into those crystals, it'll actually damage the enemies a whole lot more and doing additional damage to them. And lastly, Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Sharding additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit. Synergizing with our first fragment, so we just get our grenade up a little bit more frequently, as our main source of damage with this build, at least for ability wise, is going to be sliding into our grenade in order to activate it. For our weapon choice, we're going to go with Double Special. Let's make use of that new Tenacious Mastery Stasis Sidearm. I have the Air Trigger Choke Clip Lull, but I would really suggest just having Choke Clip on it is fine. This thing is just a powerhouse on its own no matter what. Then you have Buried Bloodline. This is going to make it so that we have a survivability tool through our weapons, not just our abilities, with its exotic perk. Double fires tracking bolts. Landing bolts leeches health from the target. However, with its Buried Bloodline Catalyst, while Devour is active, this weapon weakens on hit, and this thing is able to, with multiple final blows, this weapon will grant you Devour. So we'll have Devour as well as Frost Armor throughout this whole build. For our mods, we have double Harmonic Siphon. Harmonic Siphon is just going to make it so that when we're getting weapon final blows with our stasis weapon, we'll be just creating orbs all over the place. We have Special Ammo Finder, so that way we never run out of special, ideally. With the sidearms, they just tend to be really ammo efficient, particularly with Tenacious Mastery with that air trigger roll. On our gauntlets, we have Bolstering Detonation. This is going to make it so that our class ability energy when we cause damage with a grenade. We also have Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee. This is going to make it so that our class ability is topped off, so we always have Antaeus Wards' ability to proc. Then on our chest, we have 2 resistance mods. You can swap these out for anything that you're currently fighting. And we also have a Charged Up mod. This is going to increase the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. This is going to make it so that we're actually just having more consistent armor charges as we run around. On our boots, we have Better Already. This is going to make it so our health is going to begin to regenerate immediately after picking up an Orb of Power. Just another survivability tool to feel like our health is just constantly on the up. We also have Invigoration, which is going to reduce our melee cooldown every time we pick up an Orb of Power, as well as Innervation, doing the same thing but for grenades. On our class item, we have Reaper. Shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an Orb of Power. This will activate as long as we are not at 100% class ability energy, so if you slide into something and it takes some of your class ability energy away, this will count as using Reaper, so you'll generate a second orb alongside your weapon kills if you're using a stasis weapon. Proximity Ward, gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher. This just gives us a little bit of extra protection while we activate our last mod, Special Finisher, where we're going to generate special ammo for the whole fire team when we get a finisher, as long as we have 3 stacks of armor charge. This is going to make it so that we have unlimited special, so we can actually run both those sidearms. Now that we've gone over everything, we can really look at the synergy chart here, and it all starts in the bottom left with Antaeus Wards. So when you're sliding, you get a whole slew of benefits. You can use slide shot or slideways weapons to be able to reload your currently equipped weapon. You can also slide and get that 100-degree shield that will reflect back projectiles, and then you can slide into the crystal or grenade or the glacial grenade, and that's going to make it so that when we shatter stuff, we can stun unstoppable champions with that. We can go into Tectonic Harvest there, which will give us frost armor off the shards we create, and then while we have frost armor, we'll make more shards, which will kind of lead into itself there with one of our fragments. Then also with stasis weapons, you can slow, and that'll get our overload champions. And when we shatter things, we'll also get more grenade energy back off of shatters. And then also, while we're taking any damage at all, we'll also be generating more grenade energy. Then on the right there, we have our weapon of choice, which will grant Devour, which is just even more health and recovery, as well as being able to weaken targets. So hopping into the gameplay here, like I mentioned, this is going to be a lower content build anyways, so you can just slide right into crystals there, and you'll generate a bunch with that, and you'll have your frost armor, and you can start killing stuff with your other weapon, and once you get Devour procced, then you can start taking out your... See, we have Devour there, so we can take out Tenacious Mastery and start causing targets to freeze this way. And as we get kills, we just get all of our health right back, and we have that armor resistance from frost armor. Slide right on into him. Just activate our grenade that way. It's a little bit more of a fun build, because you don't really have because you have to be sprinting for quite a bit in order to be able to proc the shield in general, so don't try to just immediately use it if you're trying to block something. You can see it proc at the bottom there with a little yellow indicator showing us that it's active. In the bottom left, reflective vents right there, and that's how you can see that it will actually pop up. But you don't need to have that available to you to slide into the crystals. But Devour is just very easy to keep up with this build. You don't really have to worry too much about it. Only takes a very brief moment of sprinting in order to activate it, really, but just completely whiffed that melee there. Hopefully Bungie eventually updates that tracking. But the concept of this is just enabling your slide to be active for a longer period of time, so you can actually activate that in PvE content. I think it's best used maybe if you see a sniper coming in, or maybe a drag is throwing just too many grenades and you want to send it right back at them. It's a little bit more of a gimmick exotic, but I think this build allows it to shine in a little bit of a capacity. However, like I mentioned, I would suggest only using this for some lower end content.